Imagine moving into your dream home, everything you've ever wanted, every detail just right. But then, something lingers just out of sight, watching, waiting. This is the true story of the Black Monk of Pontefract, a haunting so terrifying, it became legend. The story begins in the unassuming town of Pontefract, West Yorkshire. The house itself, 30 East Drive, looked like any other on its quiet street, box hedges, a garden gate, a welcoming air for a family eager to begin a new chapter. It was the 1960s, and the Pritchard family, Jean and Joe, and their children Philip and Diane, moved in, blissfully unaware of what hid beneath their feet. For the first weeks, life was peaceful. New paint on the walls, laughter in the rooms, a future blooming. But Pontefract's land bore old, tangled roots. Stories would emerge of a monk, shamed and executed centuries ago on these grounds, his spirit never leaving, chained by violence and unfinished rituals. Local whispers spoke of curses and shadows slithering through the night, but the Pritchards, modern and rational, laughed such talk away. One night, soft knocks echoed through the hallway. At first, Jean blamed the house settling, old timbers groaning in the Yorkshire wind. But the knocks grew louder, insistent, like skeletal fingers rapping from within the walls. Then, they stopped, until objects began to move of their own accord. A chair toppled in an empty room. Cups slid across the kitchen table, shattering against the floor. Lamps flickered then exploded, leaving the family in the sudden dark, heartbeats drumming in their ears. Philip insisted he'd seen a shadow dart out of sight. Jean, trying to comfort her children, found no reasonable explanations. It was Diane who saw him first, a black-robed figure, standing at the foot of her bed. The air grew icy, breath clouding. She stared into cold, empty eye sockets set in a cracked, ashen face. The hooded monk's presence was suffocating, heavy with sorrow and rage. Diane screamed, but the vision faded into the dark. Jean and Joe tried to reassure her, dismissing it as a nightmare, until they saw it, too. Suddenly, the haunting escalated. Diane awoke bruised, strange handprints on her arms and neck. Joe, unable to ignore the disturbances, stayed up at night. Footsteps thumped up and down the stairs. Doors slammed violently, no wind, no one nearby. Shadows twisted along the walls, as if reaching for them. The entire house would fill with an unnatural cold. Sometimes, they would smell incense and old damp earth, as if the grave itself had opened. Neighbors complained of strange noises, laughter, tortured moans, persistent knocking that seemed to echo through the block. The local priest refused to bless the house, claiming the presence was too powerful. The family took to sleeping in shifts, one always awake and watching over the others. Nights became a waking nightmare. Diane would awaken, gasping for air, the black monk's gloved hand pressing her chest, pinning her to the mattress. Jean found herself locked out of rooms, keys twisting in locks by invisible hands. Objects levitated and hurled themselves at whoever was closest. The sense of dread was constant, a living nightmare that refused to end. Finally, out of desperation, they called for help. The police arrived, expecting a prank or a family in distress. What they found unsettled even the most staunch skeptics: heavy furniture sliding unaided, doors slamming, and unseen force yanking at their uniforms. The officers, hardened by years of real-world dangers, retreated white-faced and shaken. Word spread quickly. Journalists, paranormal experts, and skeptics flocked to the house. Some came to mock, others to prove their theories. Most left pale and silent. Reporters described icy spots that numbed their bones, whispers slithering between rooms, voices commanding, "Get out, leave now." Historians and occultists debated the origins of the curse. Some insisted the monk was a tormented spirit, murdered in secret rituals, his soul unable to rest. Others believed the home was a beacon for residual energy, fear and violence repeating in loops, forever hungry. A few suggested something more sentient lurked, an intelligence that fed on terror, delighting in the anguish it caused. As the months rolled on, the house claimed its own sinister personality. Visitors described being watched, shadowy figures flickering across the periphery. The temperature would plunge, breath frosting, the silence breaking only by sharp, mocking laughter from nowhere and everywhere. Objects launched across rooms, barely missing guests. At times, people felt invisible hands pushing them toward the door, or the sense of being smothered by despair. Locals began to cross the street rather than pass the house after dusk. Rumors spread, some claimed the monk was still seen, standing in the upstairs window, watching.